Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something truly fascinating. We're looking at a society that took one of the biggest mysteries of life, finding a partner, and tried to turn it into a science.
I mean, seriously, what if you could quantify it? What if all that stuff, romantic chemistry, spiritual connection, family background, could all be boiled down to a single, trustworthy number? It sounds like science fiction, right? Well, for one society, it's very, very real.
We're talking about the Arreqqana. They built this unbelievably detailed system to figure out who should marry whom. Forget leaving it to chance, they decided to measure it. So let's pull back the curtain and see how they actually do it.
Okay, so how do you even start to put a number on something as messy and complicated as love and marriage? Well, they begin with one foundational tool. This is it, the Arreqqana Marriage Market Rating Scale. On the surface, it's a simple 1 to 10 scale, but it is so much more than that. It's designed to be holistic, which means it's not just looking at one thing. It's looking at everything, from your personality all the way to your deepest cultural and spiritual beliefs.
So where does that 1 to 10 score come from? Well, it's not just pulled out of thin air, it's actually built from 6 core pillars, or what they call dimensions. And these dimensions tell you everything about what this society truly values.
And here are the 6. You've got physical attractiveness, but that's more about health and vitality than just looks. Then there's personality and temperament. Are you kind? Are you stable? Super important is spiritual alignment, which is all about your devotion. Then you have clan lineage, which is like your family's reputation, social class and your contribution to society, and finally, regional compatibility. Basically, do you fit in culturally?
And the detail they go into is just mind-blowing. This isn't about a gut feeling. Let's just take spiritual alignment as an example. A perfect 10 isn't just someone who is really religious. No, it means you embody the doctrine and you actually serve as an anchor for others. A 5, on the other hand, is just nominal. Every single point has a very specific, concrete definition.
All right, so you've got these 6 different scores, from 1 to 10. How in the world do you combine all of that into one single master score? Well, it's definitely not a simple average.
And this is where you really get a peek into their soul as a society. You see what they actually care about. Not all dimensions are created equal. Personality and spiritual alignment are weighted the most, both making up 20% of the total score. The other 4 are weighted at 15% each. So what does that tell you? It tells you that for the Arreqqana, your character and your beliefs are what matter most.
And boom, here it is, the actual formula that ties it all together. You take each domain score, you multiply it by its specific weight, add all of those up, and then multiply the whole thing by 10. And that gives you a final score out of 100. This is what they call the Holistic Marriage Index, or HMI. It's one number that's meant to represent a person's entire suitability for marriage.
But wait, it gets even more clever. You can't just ace a few categories and hope for the best. The system has what they call gating rules, which basically stop people from gaming it. So even if you are a perfect 10 in almost everything else, there is no way you can get a top-tier score of 85 or higher if your spiritual alignment is below a 7, or if your clan lineage is below a 6. Some things are just non-negotiable.
Now, if you thought this was all just cold, hard numbers and spreadsheets, well, you're in for a surprise. To really understand a match, the Arreqqana believe you have to look at the unseen, the metaphysical. So the system has this whole other layer that's all about essential energy.
2 of the biggest concepts here are flame distance and thread compatibility. Now this stuff is rooted deep in their cosmology. Flame distance is supposed to measure the energetic closeness or proximity between 2 souls, and thread compatibility looks at the harmony between their fundamental natures, which they see as archetypes, like a flame person, a river person, or a stone person.
And check this out, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. They've literally hard-coded these mystical beliefs right back into the math. If you have an optimal flame distance, boom, you get a 5-point bonus on your HMI. If there's high friction, you lose 5 points. If your thread types are complementary, another 5-point bonus. It's this wild blend of data and doctrine that makes this system unlike anything else.
Okay, so that's the theory. We've seen the formulas, the weights, the spiritual modifiers. But what does this actually look like day to day? How do real people use this to find a partner?
You might be picturing dusty old scrolls, but it's actually incredibly modern. A lot of the time it looks like this, an app. This one's called AXQ Match. And right here, you can see 2 people, their scores in every single domain are laid out, and you see their combined HMI is an 86.
That lands them in the noble tier, which is a huge deal. It makes all this complex data really easy to understand.
But it's not just an app. There's a very formal institutional side to it too. This is like a simplified version of a temple report. It shows the key scores, the final HMI, and most importantly, the official temple verdict. In this case, approved. This is what gives a match its social and spiritual stamp of approval. It's a critical step. And this is where it gets really strategic. The family councils use screens like this to weigh multiple candidates against each other, often for big political or social alliances. You can see the HMI, the tier, the potential risk, and even quick notes, all in one place. It allows for these incredibly sophisticated decisions that are all about long-term stability for the whole clan.
So after all of this, the numbers, the rules, the mysticism, what's the point? What's the guiding principle? It really boils down to this powerful quote from their own texts: quantified without reducing dignity. The whole goal isn't to turn human beings into statistics. It's to use numbers to try and honor the immense complexity of a lifelong partnership.
It's a truly incredible system. And, it really makes you think. In our world of dating apps and algorithms, we are kind of doing this already, aren't we? So I'll leave you with this question to ponder. If you were the one designing the algorithm from scratch, what would you measure? What would you decide matters most?